everybody, welcome back to the channel. We got back from our trip, we had a great time. First 2 days, the solar trailer worked perfectly, exactly how I imagined. We had more solar than we needed. Batteries were always fully charged. Unfortunately, we woke up on the third morning with no AC power, microwave wasn't on, TVs wouldn't turn on. I went out to the solar trailer and found that in the middle of the night, the inverter tripped for low DC bus voltage. The battery cut out in the middle of the night. It had about 70% battery left, so I couldn't figure out quite why we lost that DC bus voltage. So I'll show you what I went through to diagnose what happened. Right, here we are in the trailer. I did make some modifications. I added the 12-volt cigarette lighter down in there in order to power our fridge, and I mounted these nice gas cans in the corner, quick and easy, right inside the door. Let's get this battery cover off and we'll figure out what happened here. Inside the battery, this is the BMS here at the bottom. First thing I did was check for voltage at the positive and negative here of the pack, and we had 53 volts, so I knew the battery was at least charged. Next, I pulled this black and white connector back here, which are the balance leads to each individual cell, and was able to probe with the multimeter and verify each cell was at least 3.2 volts, all of them almost within 1 millivolt, which is really typical. So I knew it wasn't a cell problem, it wasn't an overall pack problem, but it didn't seem like anything worked. I'm just going to chalk it up to a faulty BMS that finally died. This BMS did have around 400 cycles on it. This is a Seplos 10C BMS, which is an older model that a lot of people did and didn't like for various reasons. Today we're going to replace it with a 10E model, which is not the newest, but definitely more updated with Bluetooth and should fit right in that same profile. So let's do that. First thing I like to do is pull these balance connectors out, make sure this BMS has no power. And remove the positive and negative leads from the BMS. These are the main pack cables. They are live at all times. There's no way to disconnect them really. I do highly recommend discharging the battery as far as you can to make sure that the potential energy is as low as possible. I also recommend trying to use rubber ratchets whenever possible, just in case if you bump something. You can even wrap your socket in electrical tape if you feel like you need to. Negative first. We're going to wrap this in electrical tape to make sure we don't have any possible arcing with the positives once we take it apart. Alright, and the positives one by one. Remove them one at a time and cover them in tape. And the last one. All right. Now the rest of this is all dead. We can just remove it all. We'll start to pull the BMS out. And the BMS comes out just like that. Let's go in the garage. Here is the two BMSs. The top one is the one out of that EnergyTech battery. The bottom one is my spare Seplos 10E BMS, which we're going to now put in the EnergyTech battery. There are quite a few differences, even though they look super similar. I'm not going to go through every difference. The main one is the screen has the Bluetooth chip built into it on the 10E compared to the 10C. The only other difference between these two specific models is this one, there is no light strip here for the state of charge indicator and the alarm. On theirs, they soldered this wire set to the remote light set on the front of the screen. This replacement, I'm not going to do that. I don't need it very much. I don't use it for that. If I don't have the state of charge indicator, it's not that big a deal for me. I do have to see if these are too tall to fit in the battery though. We might have to cut these off or break them off. We're going to have to test fit the BMS to do that. On the other side, the two look almost identical. There is a few subtle differences in the PCB. But now we get to go put it in the battery and see how it works. Alright, I got the BMS test fit in there. Let's start putting this in together. I'm going to start with the screen. Now we can start to screw down the BMS. Alright, now we're going to add the positive and negative leads to the connector, the Anderson connector. Let's see if I can remember which one goes to where. That's how it went. Then the negative to the connector. Can't forget that little on-off switch back there. Next, we're going to do the positives again on the main battery. Again, we got to be very careful with these. And then the main cell negative. Okay, we can attach our balance leads and the screen. Oh, and I saw the screen light up. Let's just pull this around here. Oh, of course, I just bent that a little. Careful. Look at that Seplos battery system. And 52.74 volts. So the state of charge is going to be inaccurate because that's whatever the last time I had this BMS hooked up. Let's see if the inverter will turn on. Hey, look at that. Showing 0 volts. Let's hit that reset button underneath. Actually, there we go, 52.6 volts. Awesome. Well, that solved that problem. Let's see if this one gets any better, if it lasts any longer. I'll put the screws in the case for the battery and we'll go on another trip and see how it does. So the next project is going to be replacing this Solarc 12K with this Solarc 15K that they sent me. It's a replacement. This is a refurbished model. It's not a new one. They sent me this refurbished one because I was having some overheating problems with mine. They couldn't quite figure it out. So they offered to send this as a fix. We're going to be replacing this wire trough all the EMT conduit, pulling the 12K off the wall, pulling the grow watt off the wall. We won't need it anymore. And then maybe reorganizing this battery setup. I'm not sure yet. We're going to be making this wire trough out of some brushed stainless steel. It's going to be much deeper. It's going to come out all the way to be flush with the front of the 15K, rather than this short stuff where a lot of people have to bend this back. I'm sure you can get other wire troughs that fit better, but I'm just going to make a really nice one on the laser so that we can mount it on the wall. I'm going to do all this in CAD so that we can get the electrical panel in the right spot. I'm probably going to move this 6-50 plug. I'm going to also add a 14-50 plug so that I have a dedicated outlet for the Tesla charger and a dedicated outlet for the welder. So stay tuned, that's going to be the next project. Thanks for watching, and we will see you guys next time.